So sometimes you see things that make you mad. And you know me, when I get mad, I explain things. Like there was one time, I watched this video on One Punch Man, and how this guy thought he was a villain. And he was just using the first season. Not even like the manga either, literally just season 1 of the show. Season 2 wasn't there back then, so, I can let that go. But there was a webcomic, there was the manga. So naturally I figured, maybe read up on that a little bit, but that's not the point. That's not the point. It got to me so much that I tried to hide it, and then my dad legitimately felt the rage coming off my body. At least that had to be it, because I didn't tell him. I just walked in the room, and I guess I gave off the aura of someone who was pissed because he looked me dead on in the eyes and said, "Why are you so mad?" So for the next 3 days, I explained exactly why. Normally, I just kind of explain it to my dad, who gets the frigging end of this. I explain a lot of stuff to him. But this time, no, I'm going to make a video on just why this doesn't make sense. Sup, shoobs, I'm Gravy Fries, and I'm a little ticked off. So, a friend of mine sent me something in chat this morning saying she was in a debate with someone about Randy Cunningham and Miraculous Ladybug being the same thing. Now, I just wanna clear it up before I start rambling. That's not the case. Are they similar? Oh, absolutely, very, very similar. And it's been compared multiple times. But they're not the same thing. And for those who may be thinking, ooh, she's going to make an MLB video, that's going to be so cool. Let me just say out front, there is nothing wrong with Miraculous Ladybug as a show. If you enjoy it and it helps you with stuff, that's fantastic. And I'm happy you have a show that you really enjoy, and I hope it goes for a long time and it gets tons of profit and toys and videos and movies. I hope it goes great. But this is not the video for you. I'm not a fan of the show. I'm just going to tell you that up front now. So, I highly recommend, if you're a big fan and you just don't want to hear bad opinion about it, yeah, I'd recommend leaving. But, I mean, again, if you do stay, think about it. I'm just a silly girl on the internet. I don't know why my opinion would bother you anyway. I mean, if I can handle some people calling Randy garbage, I'm pretty sure anybody can handle any bad thing being discussed about their favorite series. I mean, seriously. But regardless, that's not what we're here for. Okay. Let's just clear things up, because I've also seen this, and this also has bothered me immensely. One of the things that the guy mentioned, she specifically pointed it out, is that Randy didn't have any clear development. Now, I know what people are going to say. I know what they're going to say. Oh, well, she's going to start explaining all of Randy's development. That is not at all what I'm going to be doing. It bothers me that people, for some reason, think Randy is that type of show. Yes, the show did have some lore and secrets and some interesting little things here and there. And yes, the whole thing with Ghoulian was really cool, but the show isn't meant to be like this overdeveloped, constant story in each episode, an overarching plot series. It's not supposed to be like that. It is a regular, everyday, Saturday morning cartoon. Yes, there's some plot that stays, but no, it's always going to stick to something happens, Randy messes up, he realizes that, fixes the mistake, rinse, and repeat. There's no change to this. So what if every now and again some things stick? That doesn't matter. That's not what Randy is. Randy's not meant to be this overexplored, deep lore, sad dramatic scenes in the near future in the next series show. That's not what it is. I understand if you want it to be that way, but that's not how it's going to be. That's not how the show would even be if it came back. That's just not Randy. And even if the show did get revived somehow, and that ended up happening, I can assure you Jed and Scott aren't on it, and it's not how the show would have been if they were. Because that's not what Randy is in the end, and that's not what they even wanted Randy to be. And the reason I'm emphasizing this so much is I've legit seen people mentioning if they stopped with the filler episodes about stupid crap. What do you mean filler? That's the show, mate! I'm not saying they have to like it. If you don't, that's perfectly understandable. Saturday morning cartoons with the problem of the week isn't for everybody. But that doesn't mean you can just completely ignore that that's Randy's basic plot. That's what Randy is. It's like Mao Mao! That's exactly what Mao Mao is! Yeah, they're gonna have this huge thing with the pure heart eventually, but it's the same situation with Goulian. It's there every now and again, but in the end, everything else is still gonna reset. Something's gonna happen, Mao Mao's trauma's gonna be brought up, it gets fixed in the end, rinse and repeat. Even Gumball has more plot to it, but that was more of they just decided to change the usual problem of the week in the end. That's not gonna happen with Randy. If you just want Randy to change and be a more plot-heavy show, there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to accept be a problem of the week. That's what Randy is. In the end, at its core, that's what Randy is. Simple and plain. Now, that's actually going into something else for the Miraculous Ladybug comparison, so it has a little more connection here. Miraculous Ladybug does seem to have some kind of story it's focusing on. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. Some of this is going to be a little hazy, and if I'm wrong, then please tell me. I'm a bigger woman. If I'm wrong, I will admit it, and I will make a better video with more information. But as of right now, I've only seen like the full first season, and I've gotten big chunks of information from the other series. But from what I've gotten, I mean, even the first season can tell you they're not the same exact show. That being the problem of the week situation. Even in season 1, you could tell there were things they were trying to build up. And the only reason it wasn't so pungent as it is in other franchises is simply because the man only had a month to write it. And then, clearly he's trying to build up Adrian and Marionette. Now, yeah, they're trying to build up Teresa and Randy as well, but it's definitely not the forefront in the plot as it is in Miraculous Ladybug. That's like the main thing they focus on in that series. While Randy and Teresa are just a simple side plot that they're basically telling you will happen eventually. And yeah, there might be a couple little moments here and there, but at most, I think maybe we'll get like one episode every now and again, like The Brawn Also Rises, where they're actually together and actually showing a relationship. But no, it's not as apparent like in the other franchise. Going into another thing that's just completely different is, well, their friend. Marionette's friend, God, I can't remember her name, but she was actually the coolest character in the show. She's like Lois Lane, in which she was trying to get, well, a picture with Ladybug and get what she could on her. She would constantly try to get whatever she could. When she did pop up, she would report on what she did, again, like Lois Lane. And she was very supportive of Marionette, very laid back, very smart, and, well, a very cool person in general. And again, she was my favorite in the show. Randy, however, Howard is a very smart boy, surprisingly. But yeah, he's a sarcastic jerk sometimes. Sometimes? No, he fixes the plot. He's actually very smart and manages to solve the situation and, well, fix it. And other times he's the cause of the problem. And then you just have that he's lazy, he's very big eater, he doesn't really care about much and acts apathetic. I'm not saying he is, but he tends to act apathetic towards people and their needs. And yeah, he clearly cares for Randy, they've shown that, but it's ever rarely that he openly shows it off the way they have with other characters. Like, I understand, you know, that's just how he is, and there's characters like that, but yeah, again, going into more comparisons, the actual teacher or mentor. Now, I don't know how much this guy's actually involved in the show. Last I checked, he's there very rarely, but the old man who gave them the miraculous, very kind of fragile now in his old age. He clearly likes the kids. From what I've seen, he genuinely would be seen as a decent mentor, and I know they've talked to them because, I mean, he helped them with the miraculous, even gave Marionette other miraculouses to use in future episodes. And I don't know how she used them, but she did, and he assisted her with that. Then you have our mentor in the show that pops up ever rarely, is extremely aggressive, and usually only shows up to tell Randy how wrong he is. And even gave up at one point because Randy messed things so bad. Like, he messed him up so bad. And I mean, yeah, they have a good bond, but let's be honest, that's most of what he does. Also, he's cuter than the other guy. Back on, well, Adrian and Marionette, like I said, the relationship thing is completely different. But we're going to discuss another thing that makes it different. It's not as, well, obsessive, or a little bit of a case, creepy. Now, again, if I'm wrong, you know, correct me. As I've said, I'm not that big of a Miraculous Ladybug fan, and only really watched the full first season and got big chunks of the other series. But from what I've seen, Marionette's crush on Adrian goes into borderline obsession rather than an actual regular crush. like with Randy, there's 3 particular moments with him and Teresa, and they're very brief, but you can tell he's nervous and he stutters, but when he did make a mistake, or when he, from what little he had, was overstepping, he realized that. Or when she really got mad at him and explained it bothered her, that he lied to her, he apologized, noted himself, and realized, she's probably going to be mad at me for a while, but I at least wanted to know that I'm sorry and I won't do it again. But she forgave him, so he was happy again. But the point is, he realized he overstepped it. Not even just with other people, he realized that he hurt somebody he genuinely has a strong feelings for. But then you have Marionette, which, yeah, she does things that show she cares about Adrian and is genuinely just a regular day crush, but then there's this particular scene I saw on Twitter, and I know what people are gonna think. No, this was an actual scene from the show, I can tell you that much. It was creepy. Adrian couldn't move. I don't know why he couldn't move, but he couldn't move. And you wanna know what Marionette did about that? She kept going back and forth on whether to kiss him or not. The boy could not move. He was unwilling, and they showed that in the clip. Like, he was literally standing there with a look on his face that tells you, oh God, I'm going to be forced into a kiss I don't even know if I want or not. So obviously, ignoring the fact that that's basic human decency to at least wait till the boy can give consent, it's just creepy. Like, he clearly doesn't want to be involved in this. And yet she's just going back and forth. I'm like, should I kiss him or not? I don't know. Honey, wait till he can tell you something. Oh my God. And then if people mention like the hug, Teresa willingly hugged Randy, alright? That response at the end was his response after she literally told him, I'm okay with hugging you. I mean, Lord Almighty, if I've got it wrong, there could be tons of things, like maybe she thought he was a statue. I don't know. It didn't seem like she think it was a statue. I wouldn't go kissing random statues. I wouldn't. No matter how much I like the guy. Then we go to the other comparisons of just, the plot in general. As I've said, I'm not a fan of the show, so it could just be a bias. And again, random girl on the internet. I would not take any of this seriously. But the plots are just different in, how interesting they are. First off, yeah, there's the similarities. As I've said, Randy Cunningham and Miraculous Ladybug are very similar, but they're not the same. In which a character like, Hawk, Moth, and Sorcerer will use a kid who's feeling negative emotions to turn them into, whatever they got turned into, a Miraculous Ladybug, and a monster, and then the other kid has to, free them. Now, in Randy Cunningham's case, you have to break the thing that, is holding the stank. In Miraculous Ladybug, last I checked, I think you have to just solve the problem. No, yeah, it did possess an item. Basically, she has to use the weapon to get the Akuma out of the item itself. Like I said, I'm a little fuzzy on this. But the point is, very similar aspects, but there's one underlining issue. There's like this specific thing she has to do just to, first off, talk them down and then get the item, and then there's this whole issue of getting the Akuma, and then there's the fact that a lot of the designs for the people are just weird. Like, I understand, it's supposed to be more girlish, I guess, with the designs for whatever they're turning into, but some of them don't even go into just, they're more girly and look like something out of Sailor Moon. It's more just stupid. There's literally a pigeon person, and I understand, some of the monsters in Randy were kind of dumb. And before anybody mentions the frog from On the Pull Front, that was meant to be dumb. That's the point. They literally pointed out in the episode, but that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, okay, no matter how weird the monster was, I think everybody can admit the robots and monsters in that show were really freaking cool. And I understand that there's a difference that people are going to bring up. One was meant for little girls, and one was meant for little boys. One, I don't think Miraculous Ladybug was just specifically targeted for little girls. I believe he just made it more, at least it appears, feminine. I can tell you for a fact, the Randy Cunningham crew did not intend for Randy Cunningham to be targeted towards little boys. They themselves have stated the show was targeted towards anyone who likes it. They made it the way it is simply because that's what they wanted to make. They weren't targeting a specific audience, they just made something they liked. So the only reason it looks so, masculine is They just made it more masculine. But that's still a different comparison. Like, the monsters in that show are really freaking cool. And I'm not saying they have to make monsters on Miraculous Ladybug to be cool. I'm just saying if you're going to make more corrupted looking versions of characters, try to make something less wacky and stupid. Make something more creepy, or at least cool looking. Like, I don't like Sailor Moon, but even I can admit that the designs on that show were really freaking cool at times. There were really good designs for villains, corrupted versions of characters, and even just more heroic Sailor Moon outfits. I preferably prefer, I can't remember her name, Usagi? Well, the main chick in Sailor Moon, her adult form, I love that design. Yeah, it's simplistic, but sometimes simplicity is really good. It's just, it looks so pretty and nice, and then you've got these simplistic designs. Sometimes it looks nice in Miraculous Ladybug, a little bit. I mean, the best they had was that, like, reverse Chat Noir, and even then it was just, you know, turning into Suwa, which still looked cool. They didn't do a lot with it, which really bothers me, because you should have done something with that. And finally, we have a comparison with the villain itself. Like I've said twice at this point, similarities, yes. Same thing? Not at all. Hawkmoth is very similar into the Sorcerer, where he was corrupted by, well, life. And yeah, he didn't get corrupted by an item, he did get corrupted in its own way. And he does similar to the Sorcerer, where he, you know, corrupt item, make a kid sad, boo-hoo, monster, fight, lose, dang it, I wanted that power. They're both very power hungry, both crazy, and both clearly very evil. But again, there's an underlining difference here. Now, you're probably expecting me to say the Sorcerer was better, and I'm going to be completely honest. Hawkmoth and the Sorcerer are both equally stupid. Ghoulian was amazing and a very fan-favorite villain simply because he was actually really interesting to watch and made the story more, well, interesting in general. The Sorcerer inevitably became a chump, a villain that really couldn't do much. As I described, there's like 36 episodes he's in, and there's 100 segments, for God's sake. Clearly showing, eventually he just ran out his use as a villain. Which I believe is a problem with Hawkmoth, but unlike Hawkmoth, they're not switching him out. He's meant to be the main villain, above everyone, which is the serious underlining problem to me. First off, there's his plot in general, where he's supposed to be doing all this because, well, he misses his wife, and she's, I don't even know if she's dead or in a coma or not, and he's trying to wake her up. But the thing is, the way he acts towards, like, oh, well, he's supposed to care about his son and that's why he's so protective, the way he acts proves he doesn't really care that much about his son. And not to mention, it seems like he's starting to lose the care he had for even his wife. Then the fact that his assistant clearly has a crush on him, but he doesn't care at all, to me, it's just making it even worse. That, I mean, not only is he based, or at least he seems to be based, off a villain that ran out his use in Season 2, for God's sakes, but now they're completely ruining what little bit of development the man had, to a point where now there's not really much you can do with him. I mean, yes, I understand that he was kind of interesting at first, but in the end, he's got the same problem as the Sorcerer, and it's not making it any better that his plot is getting ruined. The Sorcerer completely lost all use he had. He wasn't interesting anymore, and he basically became so little of a threat that other villains had to be introduced. So they need to do the same thing with Hawkmoth, otherwise they're just kind of shooting themselves in the foot. Okay, I'm done now. I got it out of my system. Thank you guys so much for listening to another one of my many rambles, and just thank you so much for following my channel and, well, enjoying my content. I want to spread out more. Like, I'll still stick with Randy, but obviously, you know, I want to do a lot of different stuff with my career. But trust me, I've still got lots of stuff planned for Randy. I know I've kind of slowed down. It's mainly because I'm trying to figure out just what to do next. And I'm hoping once they give us, you know, a confirmation on whether or not Randy's coming back, that'll give me more to work on. As of right now, I'm just trying to finish up everything I've already started on. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you shoobs later.